MPs are heading back to Parliament today after the Christmas break, and this evening we're going to be debating and voting on a really important piece of legislation, the Offshore Petroleum Licensing Bill. Now, this bill will ensure that the oil and gas regulator runs annual applications for new North Sea oil and gas exploration. In other words, it will make sure that our own UK reserves of oil and gas continue to be found and brought out of the ground and used. But some people are asking, why is this a good thing? Aren't we trying to move away from relying on fossil fuels? Well, yes we are, and the UK has made remarkable progress in this. Just 30 years ago, the vast majority of our energy came from coal and oil and gas, but now over half of our energy comes from renewable sources like wind. That's a huge transition in a very short time. And in fact, the UK recently became the first country in the G20 to halve its carbon emissions. We are quite literally leading the world in this. But natural gas still makes up about 40% of our energy mix, and we will need gas for some time to come. Renewables like wind and solar are great, but we do need backup for when the sun isn't shining and the wind isn't blowing. So we have three options. The first option is just to stop using gas. But think about this, the economy and our lives as we know them would just collapse. Do you want to switch your light on and heat your house? Do you want to charge your phone? Do you want the trains to run and factories to work? There is one reason that prosperity has increased so much since the Industrial Revolution, and that's cheap and plentiful energy. Now, the alternative to cheap and plentiful energy is a pre-industrial economy where we're cold and poor and living in the dark for half of the year. Extremist environmentalists might advocate for this, but I suspect that they're in the minority. The second option is that we could import more and more gas from other countries. But this is bad financially. It costs us to purchase supplies from abroad. It's bad for energy security, relying on other nations that may or may not be good to trade with, for example Russia. And importing gas has a far more harmful impact on the environment. Imported LNG, for example, has almost 4 times the carbon intensity of UK production. Or the third option is we can produce more of our own oil and gas. This means we can guarantee energy security, we can impose taxes on producers that can make the UK richer by funding our own public services, we can grow the number of jobs in the energy sector, and we can reduce overall emissions because our UK oil and gas are cleaner than imports. So this legislation before Parliament today will ensure that we continue to invest in our own UK oil and gas supplies. Other political parties are opposing the legislation, but this doesn't make logical sense. If you're in favour of reducing emissions, and if you don't want the light to go out, then we need to use our own natural resources as we move to reduce our reliance on fossil fuels. So that's why I'll be backing the Offshore Petroleum Licensing Bill today. It's the right thing for the environment and it's the right thing for Britain.